Le Corbusier in Chandigarh. As I said, Le Corbusier arrived a little bit late in Chandigarh. The project initially was begun by a Polish-American architect, and unfortunately he died in a tragic plane crash in Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. And then somehow the commission arrived to Le Corbusier. This is the plan of what was built there. Here is the secretariat. This is so again, this is the main governmental ensemble of buildings in Chandigarh. This is the assembly hall, the parliament, this building here. Here was supposed to be the palace of the governor, which was not built. This is the House of Shadows that we did see. And this was the Palace of Justice. So the Palace of Justice, the Parliament, Assembly Hall, the Secretariat with the main bureaucratic building, and the House of Shadows. Again, the Palace of the Governor was not built. And this is an initial drawing by Le Corbusier in Chandigarh with pencil. And the large site plan. So what we are going to study more in detail is right here at the top. And then here is a drawing of Le Corbusier, looking at the site plan. Again, the site plan with some elevations. He worked here also with his cousin, Pierre Jeanret, who remained at Chandigarh after Le Corbusier left. Here we see the buildings that I mentioned, the Secretariat, the Parliament building, and here is the House of Shadows. Not everything was built like we see in this site plan. This was supposed to be the Palace of the Governor and the Palace of Justice. This is the Parliament building. The main political building of the government of this region of India. With a spectacular sculptural architectonic presence on the roof, but the whole building does have power, and I feel tempted to organize a trip to Chandigarh, because I think it's an important architectural achievement, even if some people criticize it. But there will always be people who criticize certain things, particularly things that are unusual or very creative. This is the large room, of the assembly hall, and then Les Fêtes Cosmiques, the cosmic celebrations, that in the sense that the culmination of the building at the superior part is some kind of an homage to cosmos, to the sky, both to the sun and the moon, as drawing by Le Corbusier mentions, in fact. So it is a dramatic architecture, it's a vigorous architecture, it's a felt architecture, it's a powerful architecture, but some people might say, what does it have to do with India? But this was about an India that wanted to emancipate itself, and the Prime Minister Nehru was advocating just that. So they are lucky now to have these buildings by Le Corbusier. As you can see, the politicians accommodate themselves to the novelty of the design quite well. on the left. So on the left, you see the Secretariat in the background. And on the left, a little bit closer to us, but you don't see it at all, is the House of Shadows. And in front of us, the main building is the Parliament building, the one that you look at here. The chairs were designed, I'm sure, by Pierre Jeanneret, the cousin of Le Corbusier. He did a lot of chairs, some of them were very well designed, and you know, he is to be appreciated. He also worked on housing complexes, you know, around Chandigarh or in Chandigarh. So Pierre Jeanneret was himself a creative force. I mean, the very fact that he collaborated with Le Corbusier, they were cousins, does show that Le Corbusier trusted him. This is a sketch for the open hand, which he realized a symbolic sculptural element that, you know, is a metaphor for the, you know, the creative hand. Also a metaphor for, you know, the role of the hand in understanding each other, of shaking hands, for example. Artworks by Le Corbusier, as you can see, present in the work. And you see on the left, the House of Shadows, and in the background, the Secretariat. Le Corbusier, Chandigarh and the Modern City. This is was a book published. Now we look at the Secretariat building with, you know, the main bureaucratic building itself, a fine modern building with people on bicycles approaching it. It's a heroic architecture. This architect had a disposition for heroic positioning himself, and he transmitted this heroism, in this case, to India. Interesting. Now look at that bureaucrat on the left. He left his shoes aside and he is taking a nap, or is resting in that way. Now, maybe something like this we would not see easily in Europe, but it's not something that I would look at with negativity at all. No. Why not bring the human element in? The Secretariat at the Chandigarh, with the workers going towards work on bicycles. Why not? In Sweden, the Prime Minister went to work by bicycle. So why not everywhere in the world? We will pollute the world much less. So you see here the, you know, the main buildings that were built, the Governor's Palace, but that was not built. As I said, the High Court, meaning the Justice building, the Palace of Justice, the Assembly building, the Parliament, and then the Secretariat, which is this one. The Palace of Justice, not bad, you know, to see this kind of artwork in the Palace of Justice. Shows, you know, the openness of the government of that region to get a, you know, innovative building and to also have, you know, primary colors which are bringing in joy, and the sculpturalness of the concrete, which is, you know, appreciable. Bravo to Le Corbusier and his team. Whatever Peter Zumthor might have said, I do think that architecture can have an impact on people's life. It can inspire them or leave them indifferent. What would we prefer? Well, we would prefer it to inspire people, to touch their emotions, to touch their hearts, as Le Corbusier would say. And only then the building becomes architecture. When it touches the hearts of those who use the buildings or see the buildings or visit the buildings have to touch their hearts. If they don't touch their hearts, it's not architecture. It's at the most a talking architecture, but not a singing architecture. As Paul Valéry, the great French poet, said, there are three kinds of builders. One who places a stone above another stone, and he is a builder. Then there is the second builder who places a stone above another stone and makes them talk or speak. He's a master builder. And the third one, whose name is Eupalinos, he is placing a stone above another stone and makes them sing. He is the architect. And yes, again, his name, Paul Valéry said, is Eupalinos. Nice. Look at the disorder there on the right side. It's okay. The bureaucrat is taking a nap. He's probably tired and a little bit bored by bureaucratic work. You know, you wouldn't see maybe easily such a scene in some governmental buildings in Europe, but it's okay. The architecture is still triumphing through its vigorous architectonic achievement, and the spirit is there. Who cares about those boxes, you know, thrown in the corner somewhere on the terrace? It's fine. It's a creative spirit. This is what matters. It does move your heart. I don't know who these people are. I don't even know why I placed this picture here, but the building is this one. And I love the presence of color, you know, the primary colors. They do bring joy. I mean, you know, an architecture that is only gray, you know, is not very conducive, in my opinion, to being too optimistic about life or the future or who knows what. Now, the House of Shadows, which you already saw, this is a description of you know, of the buildings that we saw. Some of them. We didn't see the Martyrs Memorial. We didn't see the Rock Garden, the Geometric Hill, and the Open Hand. These are drawings for the House of Shadows. This is an original drawing by Le Corbusier. And this is the building which we saw when we talk about the Le Corbusier code. That is, if God would accept us to talk about the shadows as being somehow from his realm. This is this building with a snake-like. It's the Geometric Hill. This was created from the enormous quantities of sand dug out to create some of the buildings of the complex. The 24 solar hours are inscribed on the 45-meter wide inclined face of the hill. That is this one. So you see the trajectory of the apparent movement of the sun. You know, the sun goes up in the morning and then goes up, and at midday is here, and then it goes down, and in the evening becomes unseen. And he represented it because, as I said, Le Corbusier was a solar architect. He was truly under the influence of the sun. He was almost obsessed by the sun. although I shouldn't use the word obsessed. He was, carefully and affectionately considering the importance of the giver of life, that is the sun, and including in its apparent movement on the sky, although I'm sure he knew that the earth is moving around the sun and not the other way around. Here you see the House of Shadows on the left, in the background the Secretariat, and well, we couldn't see the Martyrs Memorial. The Martyrs Memorial, this is a memorial to the martyrs of Punjab partition, and consists of a square enclosure with one side elongated into a ramp by which one mounts to the enclosing wall. Within the enclosure are to be symbolic figures of a prone man, a snake, and a lion set amid ruins. The concrete ramp permits one to see from above the Capitol in its entirety and creates a promenade rising and descending. Rising and descending, this is very important because Le Corbusier was aware of both rising and descending, just like in the trajectory of the sun on the sky, the apparent trajectory of the sun, even if not the factual. The Tower of Shadows, you see, he said that it was designed to study the solar movement. This building served to Le Corbusier to support his thesis that it is possible to control the sunlight in the four corners of a building, play with it even in a hot country, and finally obtain low temperatures. But why would he place this building in front of the assembly building, the parliament building? I'm still tempted to think that he didn't talk about the metaphysical side of this structure. Could it be that it was just an utilitarian structure? Maybe it was, but I don't know. I am tempted to assign to it a different discourse, so to speak. But this is my subjective, contribution to the subject. We saw this one, ascending and descending, and this is the open hand. I hope I should have. Yes, the open hand monument. Well, what happened with the pictures? I guess it's strange because I did see maybe something happened. Maybe I didn't pick up the right presentation, but we can read here about this. Le Corbusier seeks regionalism in the design practice through context. I don't know what this is. I know I don't think there are references here. I'm sorry. I remember seeing pictures with the open hand, but you see it here as a small picture, and for now we have to do with this. I'm surprised because I also wanted to show. Yes, here it is. Sorry, there were a few slides without an image. This is an early sketch that he did for the open hand. Is actually quite big. You see the silhouettes, the human silhouettes, it's important to have symbol and to have metaphor and to have things that transcend the obvious. So, in this sense, the idealism that Le Corbusier was capable of finds, a tangible presence and realization. The open hand in Chandigarh, Le Corbusier. And some people playing soccer in front of the, I could call it a monument. an open monument, not a crashing monument, but a monument that says hello, and it rotates, as you can see. I don't know if in the wind or mechanically, it rotates, probably in the wind, although it's quite big and I imagine heavy. Okay, that was it. No, yeah, it was it. I had also, I did myself a project for Chandigarh for the Museum of Knowledge, but I don't have it here. I'll show it with a different occasion. So thank you for being here.